Hey guys, Mr. Walker here, and thank you for joining me for yet another math lesson. And today we're going to jump right into things because we are talking about division. All right, so we've been taking a look at division so far. We've been doing a lot of different work with division. We've done some like estimating and some dividing by multiples of 10 and things like that. And we're going to take all of that knowledge that we have and we're going to apply it today to be able to divide by some two-digit numbers and divide by numbers that aren't multiples of 10. And we're going to kind of see how that all fits together, and we're going to kind of take what we already know and start to kind of combine it, or at least see where some commonalities are between the standard algorithm, the standard way that we would use division, as far as like drawing the bracket and the subtracting and the bringing down and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start to make those connections and start to make our way from what we have been doing to learning some good division strategies and algorithms and formulas kind of like that we can use when we divide in the future. So really all you need for today is just something to write on, something to write with. Once you have those things, go ahead and click continue and we'll keep moving. All right, awesome. So we're just going to jump right in and start with an example, okay? So I'm going to come over here to the board and I'm going to write down, let's go with 70 divided by 30. So that's where we're going to start. And you can see that we are still dealing with numbers that are multiples of 10, and we're going to see why in a second. We're going to kind of be moving from this in a little bit, but we're going to start here just to kind of get our feet wet again. So in this problem of 70 divided by 30, what's the divisor? What are we like dividing by? Right, 30. 30 is going to be our divisor, okay? So if this is what we're dividing by, we want to use estimation first, like we've learned previously, to kind of help us out. And I think of all the operations that we learn about, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, I think division is one where estimation really comes in to help the most. So if we're dividing by 30, if that's our divisor, what we need to think of, we need to estimate, is think of what's a multiple of 30. What's a multiple of 30 that we can estimate and get close to like 70, okay? So basically what I mean is we need a multiple of 30 that can make division easier. So what should we estimate the quotient, the answer of being? And here's what I mean, if I wasn't getting that out clearly enough. I know an easy fact of 3 times 2 equals 6, right? Or 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So I can estimate, go ahead and write E for like estimate here. I can estimate this as 60 divided by 30 equals 20. That's kind of what I can think of right now, because 6 divided by 3 would equal 2, but we're having 60 divided by 30, so that's going to equal 20. Okay, and this is going to come in handy when we actually start to divide, because I can start with that 2, that 20. I can start there to think about, okay, that's probably a good place to jump off at as far as when we're starting to divide, a good place to start, because I don't know my multiples of 30 like right off the top of my head. I mean, I do, but for the purposes of this, like we don't, okay? So let's just jump into the standard algorithm. So when I say the standard algorithm for division, just like we have the standard algorithm in multiplication, what I mean is we're going to set up the problem this way. So we're going to put the number that we're dividing, that's 70, and our divisor 30 is out here. So we're dividing our 70 by 30 into groups of 30. So this is kind of like the standard way we set it up. And the first thing we want to do, or we want to think about, is how many times can I distribute, or how many multiples of 30 do I need to get as close to 70 as I can? And based on this estimation here, I know I can at least get to 60. And if I do 30 2 times, that's going to get me to 60, right? 30, 60. So 30 times 2 will give me 60. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in here. And then my next step is to like see how far off I was. How close was I able to get? So I'm going to subtract these two guys, right? So 70 minus 60 is going to give me 10. Now what do we know about that 10? What do I do with that 10? Where do I go from here? Right, our 10 is going to be our remainder, right? It's what's left over. We got as close as we could without going over our 70, but we can't get any closer. So this guy's our remainder. I'm going to write this in here. All right, and again, we can't go any further. So our answer would be 2 with a remainder of 10, okay? And I misspoke like way back before. This should have been a 2, not a 20, so I apologize about that. But anyway, this is going to be our quotient, Okay, this is going to be our answer to our problem of 70 divided by 30. Could we check this? Sure, yeah, we can multiply, right? We can do 30 times 2, and that should get us back to where we need to be. So 30 times 2 gives me 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 3 is 6, it gives me 60. Hang on a second. So if I check this, I only get to 60. What am I missing? What's going on here? That's right, it's that remainder, right? That remainder of 10. I'm going to have to add that remainder in. So if I add in that remainder of 10, right, that's as far down as we could get. I add in that remainder of 10, and that will give me 70. So it checks out, okay? I can't forget that part of it. So awesome, okay. So I want to kind of represent this a couple different ways, just to, for those of you that might need another way to see like what's going on and what's happening in this problem. One way is we can look at like a bar model, right? So if I had one rectangle out here, and let's say that this is the 70, and we're dividing it into groups of 30, right? Or we're dividing it by 30. So I could do that by having one group of 30 here. I could have another group of 30 here, but I'm still going to have that 10 left over. I can't make another like group of 30. So this guy's 30, this guy's 30, but this guy's only going to be 10, okay? So that's the way we could think of it, that 30 and 30 plus 10, that will get us to the 70. Another way is to think of it in a number bond, okay? So if I had that 70, and I broke it up, I would have my two groups of 30, which would be 60, okay? These are two groups of 30. And then this part over here would be our remainder of 10. So 60 plus 10 would give us 70, okay? We kind of broke that number 70 apart into those different groups there. So just different ways to kind of represent the same thing, just different ways to kind of think about it so you can see what's going on, all right? Let's try out another example. Okay, so for this one I have 430 and I'm dividing it by 60, okay? So what's the whole number? What are we dealing with here? Right, 430, and what's our divisor? What are we dividing it into? Right, 60. We're trying to find multiples of 60. How many multiples of 60 are there in the number 430? So right off the bat, I don't know that. I can't count by 60s, okay? So I'm going to use some estimation to kind of help me out, okay? So if I think about this, what numbers are close together? Well, 6, if I go with my 6, and if I look at this as 43, I know 6 can't go into 43, but it can go into 42. So I want to think of this instead as, let's see, I'm going to put an E here for estimation again. And we'll say it's 420, right? 42, and then divide that by 60, which I can kind of think of instead as just 42 divided by 6, which would give me 7. Okay, so I think like the first guess that I'm going to take out of trying to find out how many multiples of 60 there are in 430, I think there's probably going to be about 7. So I'm going to record this now using that standard algorithm, that vertical kind of setup, right? So I'm going to set my bar here. I'm going to do 430, and I'm going to divide that by 60. And based on my estimation that I made here, I think it's going to go in there about 7 times. So it's not going to be going into the 4. It's not going to be going into the 43. It's going to be going into 430, right? So I'm going to write it over that last place value there. And now I got to find out, well, what is 60 7 times, right? Got to distribute that number through there. So what is 60 7 times? All right, that's going to give us that 420, right? 420. So I got that there. Now I want to figure out what the difference is. What do I have left over? Can I make any more groups of 60 fit in there, right? And if I subtract these two, nope, I'm going to get 10. So I can't make any more groups. So that means that my final answer here is going to be 7 with a remainder of 10. And again, I could check this. How can I check this to make sure that I'm right? What are the steps I need to take? Perfect. I would have to do 60 times 7. So 60 times 7, which would give me 420, plus the remainder of 10, which would give me 430. So it would all check out. So we're good there. All right, let's try just one more of these, and then I think you guys will be ready to try some out on your own. All right, so this time we have 572, and we're dividing by 90, okay? So the first thing, again, that I want to do is I want to use some estimation, and I want to get close and kind of take some guesses at how many times that 90, how many multiples of 90 there are going to be in the number 572. So I'm going to think of the number, let's see, 57 isn't really going to work because 57 divided by 9, there's not 9 groups of 57. Can I get closer? How about, 54. 54 will work, right? So I can think of this as 540 divided by 90. Okay, so this is going to be, again, my estimation. Okay, this is just my guessing, getting some close proximity to what I'm trying to do here. So again, I can think of this 540 divided by 90 as being 54 divided by 9, which will give me 6. So I'm thinking that 90 is going to go into 572, or I'm sorry, there will be 6 multiples of 90 in the number 572. So this number is going to be kind of my starting off point to see what we can figure out. So again, set this up vertically here. I have 572. I am dividing that by 90. Okay, and I had said 6 is a good multiple to use, right? So I'm going to write it over the ones. There's only 6 ones. So I'm going to put it over the ones place here. So 90 times 6 is going to give me, well, 540, right? So I'm going to put that in here. Now I want to see how many I have left. So if I subtract these two numbers, there would be a 2, 4, taking 4 away from 7 would leave me with 3, 5 and 5 is 0. So I am left with the number 32. So 32 is going to be my remainder. So I could write this as 572 divided by 90 would equal 6 with a remainder of 32. And I could check that again by multiplying 90 times 6 and then adding on the 32. Again, just to kind of think of this visually in another way, 572, as far as a number bond goes, would be 6 groups of 90, right? 6 groups of 90, which would give us that 540, plus 32. Okay, we just got to remember that 540 is 6 groups of 90. So hopefully this is starting to make a little bit of sense. You guys are going to practice with this some more in this lesson. But please refer back to this video if you need a little extra help or if you want to see it done another way. And again, reach out to me, a teacher, a learning guide, whoever, if you need some extra help with this. So again, we're getting our feet wet with division. We're using that standard algorithm a little bit, but we're also seeing how estimation definitely can play a key role in helping us get close to finding out what that quotient is, right? Finding out how many times our divisor is going to, how many multiples of our divisor we're going to get in our whole number there. So practice with this. Let me know if you need anything, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, thanks.